Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Thursday, January 24th, 2008, and this is episode 10 of our weekly Campaign 2008 Roundup. The big story in the Republican race right now is Florida. You know that John McCain is just coming off a big win in South Carolina. He's leading in most of the polls, so he's slipping a little in Florida. And a lot of people think, although I'm not completely sure they're right, that if John McCain wins Florida next Tuesday, he'll be in a commanding position to win the whole nomination. So who's John McCain up against? Let's go down the list. First, you have Fred Thompson, who, of course, just got out of the race. He's actually the first presidential candidate that I can think of in a long time who didn't even hold a press conference. He just sent out a little press release saying he was dropping out of the contest. So sort of he ended the race as lazily as he ran his campaign. Next up, you have Rudy Giuliani, who you know has staked his whole candidacy on Florida, but unfortunately at the moment in the polls in Florida, he seems to be dropping like a stone. And his whole campaign has just become pitiful now. The latest is he has an ad running that says he's the only candidate tough enough and strong enough to stand up for a national catastrophe fund. Take a look at the ad.
Only one Republican candidate has proven experience dealing with disaster. Only one will fight for a national catastrophe fund. And only one has a plan to lower rates and fix the insurance mess. Tested in crisis, ready to lead. Rudy Giuliani, the only one for Florida.
I'm Rudy Giuliani and I approve this message.
Now you notice that kind of 70s porn music in Rudy's ad, but you know, it's Florida, so he thinks maybe they'll help him out in South Florida. You gotta play to every constituency you can find, especially when you're in bad shape that Rudy's in. Now, Mike Huckabee, since he lost South Carolina, he's been kind of going nowhere. He seems to be falling a little in the polls in Florida. So he really seems at this point to be a regional candidate, and most people think, and I agree with them, that he's pretty much out of the running as a serious contender for this race. And that leaves us with Mitt Romney, who's actually rising in the polls, has a lot of money, which McCain doesn't have. So this race, I think, really is going to come down to John McCain or Mitt Romney, who can win Florida, and whoever wins that race is going to be in a commanding position to win the whole thing. Now, a couple more quick facts about the Florida primary. One is this is a closed primary. Now, we've talked about this before. That means that only registered Republicans can vote in this primary. Independents and Democrats cannot. So it's not like New Hampshire or South Carolina where John McCain can rely on independents to put him over the top. The second thing is it's a winner-take-all state. So if whoever gets the most votes, if you win by 35%, you don't get 35% of the delegates, you get all of the delegates. And Florida is the first big state that we've seen a primary in this year, so there's a lot of delegates at stake. Now, the latest news out of Florida is that Fred Thompson's departure seems to be helping Mitt Romney, and that appears to be because of the issue of immigration. Now, remember, Mitt Romney has basically flip-flopped on every position in politics to run in this race, and he's been aggressively demagoguing the immigration issue for more than a year now. On the other hand, John McCain was one of the sponsors of the big bipartisan immigration bill, which crashed and burned a while back, and that drives conservatives absolutely nuts. Now, he's tried to change his position somewhat on immigration, but there's still a pretty big, clear difference between them, and that seems to be helping Mitt Romney in Florida, where among Republicans, the immigration issue is a really big issue. Now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we're back, we'll tell you about tonight's debate.
At the tone, leave a message. We'll get back.
Hey, Veracifyer, I think public opinion polls really shape public opinion more than measure it because they're asking specific people specific questions and looking for specific answers. I've never been polled, and none of my friends have either. What's the deal with that?
Okay, we're back. Now, as we told you, the big event coming up on the Republican side is the Florida primary on Tuesday, but tonight there's a final debate. That's 9 p.m. Thursday night on MSNBC, a final Republican debate, and this is going to be the last chance that the rest of these guys have to get a crack at John McCain before Tuesday. So you can expect it to be a pretty rambunctious event. Now, as I've said, this is really, I think, a John McCain-Mitt Romney race down in Florida, but you've got to expect that Rudy Giuliani and Mike Huckabee really don't understand quite yet that they're out of this race, so they're going to be coming at John McCain pretty hard too. Now, for no particular reason, I also want to mention Ron Paul, because I know there's a lot of Ron Paul viewers out there, and so you don't have to write angry letters that I didn't mention Ron Paul and stuff, so Ron Paul will be there too. Now, before Tuesday, we have another primary coming up on the other side of the aisle. The Democrats have their primary in South Carolina on Saturday, and we'll be here Saturday night at TalkingPointsMemo.com bringing you live results as they come in. So I'm Josh Marshall from TPM Media, and we'll talk to you next week.
you.